The city of Corinth is in Greece. It's on an isthmus. I think I'm saying that right. Isthmus. It's kind of a peninsula, which was very good for this particular city because it was a narrow plot of land, and so they had access to two different seas. So they became quite important commercial area for centuries because you could come from the east and land at, I think it was on the eastern side, the city was Centria, which was the port city for Corinth. Corinth was kind of in the middle of the isthmus. And then they could go to the other, so they could dock on one side, unload, carry it all over to the other side, put it on a boat and go, or ship. Or if it was a small boat, they would actually try and carry it across the land, because the particular way along the Mediterranean Sea south of that to go down around the lower part of Greece was actually quite a dangerous shipping area. It still is today. You know, there's a reason beyond incompetence or something like that that thousands of people have died in the Mediterranean Sea in the last years as people have been trying to escape from oppressive regimes and situations in Africa and Northern Africa and trying to cross the Mediterranean to get up into Europe. The Mediterranean might have some nice sea spots along the coast, the southern coast of Europe and so forth, but it's actually in places quite a dangerous sea to navigate. And it was at that time, so there were some expressions about not taking this southern route unless you had made your will out first. So it was quite popular to try and use Corinth. Corinth, the city dates back many, many years. In 146 it was destroyed by the early Romans. But then in 46 BC it was rebuilt by the Caesar of that time. I guess that's either Julius or Augustus, I don't know which one, somewhere in that time period. And so by the time of Paul, it was quite a prosperous city, quite prosperous. And there were a number of commercial enterprises, certainly the shipping and then being able to transport goods from there up north into Greece and Macedonia, all of Achaia, which was the region that it was part of. In Corinth, actually, at the time of Paul, was the capital city of the region called Achaia. And you'll see Achaia mentioned in the scriptures. Last week when we were going through Romans 16, Paul mentioned Achaia. So the shipping and commercial enterprises, because of the shipping, was important. There were some other industries there in Corinth, and it's Corinthian brass is actually even known today. You will find some things that refer to it's made out of Corinthian brass, which was smelted there in those times and was known at the time. So it was a product from Corinth, along with some other things. They held an Olympic-like sporting event once a year that was second only to the Greek Olympics. So it had a big stadium, and once a year there were huge games there, and then throughout the year there were games there getting ready for it. It also had multiple temples to pagan gods there, throughout the whole Roman/Greek pantheon of gods. And there was one temple in particular that was up on a particular high peak, rocky peak, that was the temple to Aphrodite, the goddess of love or lust. And there was, according to history, there were 1,000 temple prostitutes there that were known worldwide. So people would come there specifically, men would come there to ply the trade of the Aphrodite priestesses, aka prostitutes. if you would take New York City, Los Angeles, New Orleans, and Las Vegas, and put them all together, you would get Corinth. Those are prosperous cities in our nation. They are known for commercial enterprises, for big sporting events, for theater. I didn't note the fact that Corinth had 2 theaters, one that would seat 18,000 people, which in that day was quite big. And all kinds of, I'll just say, entertainment for pagan life. So that was Corinth. And the people of Corinth in Paul's day, there were expressions about them. Corinth was known throughout the empire as the place that's kind of like the things that are done in Corinth stay in Corinth, like the advertisements for Las Vegas, same kind of thing. There was a term that was used in literature of the day called to Corinthianize. To Corinthianize someone meant to lead them astray in poor morals. That was used in the pagan world. Not the religious world, but the pagan world. Oh, you're going to Corinthianize that guy. If someone in a Greek play was presented to a Roman play at the time, but primarily throughout Greece, where the theaters were more attended than the sporting events in other places, if a character was in a play who was from Corinth, they were always presented as drunk. That was just, oh, okay, yeah, you can tell the Corinthian he's a drunk.